Self-centeredness is inbuilt in every human being. For everyone creates their little mini world of their own. My life, my world. In other words, all I know is from my past experiences, and all there is what I know about the world around me. So that is the self-centeredness, because there are many more people also experiencing the world, and somehow it should be obvious that we are living not in 8 billion separate worlds, but we're living in one world. So self-centeredness, as we look closer, arises from the sense of separate me, myself, or I. This me, myself, or I builds structures, creates identities, and more the soul is adrift in the world of illusion. I am this is mine, is a common way of relating with everything, including the opposite, not wanting this or that, which means avoiding and escaping that which is uncomfortable. But that's where opportunity lies. We want the easy way out, but the only way out is diving deeply in. At the highest levels of consciousness, interestingly, it boils down to the very basics. The body. Now I will expand on it. At the beginning of the spiritual journey, we disidentify from physicality, and a person then identifies with energy, spaces, various lights. But interestingly, on the path of self-realization, we come a full circle. And when we come closer and closer to full consciousness, things don't get more complicated. They get more simple, more fundamental, more, we could say, in essence, rather than a lot of complexities. So things get more simple and more straightforward as we approach the deeper truth. And now I will speak from this place of the deep truth to say that straightforwardly, you are avoiding stuff. Now, this is razor sharp truth. You're avoiding stuff. And then we can start unpacking. What are you avoiding? You may think yourself to be a good person, but deep down, there are questions, not certainty whether this was the right thing to do or you hurt someone perhaps. Wanting good but doing bad, not intentionally, but it happens. I wanted all the best and yet created chaos and problems to many. This is innocent, so to speak. In other words, ignorance. So what we are avoiding, escaping, at the very, very core, I will simplify it to one single word. What everyone is avoiding and escaping in various ways, many, many ways. There are many symptoms. You know, these days when you buy medicine, there is a big leaflet that you unroll with all side effects. And this is supposed to heal you. I'm trying to heal one thing, but it says like there are like 20 side effects possible. At the highest levels of consciousness, it boils down very simply, avoiding, escaping one thing only. And that one thing is wrapped up with many things. Specifically, you know, in my life is like this, in your life is like that, and so on and so on. But let's not go into those symptoms. Let's look at this raw essence. So avoiding, escaping one thing. This is very simple, but exactly I'm postponing to say what it is so you understand how deep it goes. And you think you know it, you heard it many times. You say, oh yeah, I know it. Good that you know it. Good that you heard about it. But the truth is, it digs very deep. Okay, so that one thing that everyone is avoiding, escaping, at the very, very core root essence is ignorance. And you will say, maybe, you know, I thought I'm pretty enlightened. I thought I know many things and I experience many lights and bliss and love sometimes. But still, simply, plainly put, the wheel goes round because at the very deepest core there is ignorance in one way or another. And that's where then we explore the lowest levels of consciousness. If you're familiar with the scale of the levels of consciousness, then we explore the lowest levels of consciousness, such as guilt, shame, humiliation, fear of non-existence, elimination. And some of you who are well seasoned, you'll say, well, I've dealt with this 20 years ago. I've dealt with this in the last 5 years. Yes, you've dealt on the surface level of what I am talking about. You dealt with this maybe somewhere in the middle. Maybe you dipped your toes sometimes to the bottom. but deeply, deeply, and truly, truly, and to understand that these sub-qualities of guilt, shame, or humiliation, elimination, those sub-qualities are there due to the root core or the raw knot of ignorance. And only when you become humble enough, and only when you say, what the heck, I know a lot, I knew a lot, but let me tell you, the less there is pride, the more there is love. And when you truly surrender into this total humbleness, and this is a reality check now, how much you have given away all that you know, all that you have ever experienced, and become humble with humility and say, perhaps I'm still ignorant. And even if you, and this is specifically, especially to those on the highest LOCs, levels of consciousness. This is not a beginner thing. It's not the intermediate thing. We're getting to the very, very core. And I know some of you meditated for decades, many teachers, many transmissions, and lots of experiences, and this message is exactly for you. It's how much we can surrender into humbleness and humility. And there we admit our ignorance. We don't say, perhaps I'm ignorant. I'm not sure if I'm ignorant. Well, maybe if he says so. No, you need to kind of admit your ignorance. You say, yes, I'm guilty. I am ignorant. And then I say, well, now you're ready to do some work. Because I told you, at the highest levels, it goes like Zen, very simple, straightforward. Ignorance, but what it is truly? Buddha said it's ignorance. And yeah, everybody knows. Yeah, the wheel of karma spins on ignorance, desire, and attachment. Everybody knows. But knowing versus deeply accessing it and deeply admitting after decades of practice or years of meditations and transmissions, that's what I'm looking for. And it's nothing to make you feel bad, because if you're a beginner, you may feel bad, you know, oh, that's another misery to my list. Long list of problems. That's another big one to my list. No, this is not for beginners. Because if you have reached high levels of consciousness, you know that it's not to add to the list. It's to shine the light that's behind, the light of the self, onto that sneaky ignorance. that we try to avoid and escape in many ways. It has many sub-qualities. I mentioned shame, guilt, humiliation, fear of elimination. These are root chakra and sacral chakra deep issues. It's not a fluffy heart thing. We're getting down to the root, to the core, root chakra stuff, sacral chakra stuff. So this is deep and straightforward. This is where the ego not abides, because it is a radical ignorance in which one is steeped in many veiled ways. And I know what I'm talking about because I worked on it. It's not just another textbook thing. So Ramana Maharishi he identified as a body consciousness, body identity. But it doesn't mean that with the physical flesh identity, where is the body consciousness? It's right at the bottom, sacral root chakra, the gravity center of the body. So you see, Ramana used simple words, identity with the body, but then everybody takes it that, oh yeah, I already disidentified from the body. I'm the energy, I'm the space, I'm presence, I'm the light. That's not what he talked about. He wasn't so basic. So that's the interesting part, that as you go deeper into this higher consciousness, it gets more simpler, but that simplicity is vast. It's much more expanded and deeper than ever before. So in Advaita Vedanta, it is known that the ego is a knot, a Granthi between the self and the body. These are old truths. But how deeply did we go into these old truths? Did somebody explain fully these old truths? So the nexus of the body is the ignorance. And there is a knot or a twist. And that knot or twist is smaller than a pinhole, smaller than a grain of sand. And when we approach this knot, typically it has many defense mechanisms. And then it will scare you off, like, what the hell are you doing? Run for your safety. Better be comfortable. In your head, it will come up with all sorts of defense mechanisms, like a fortress. There are many mythological tales about at the entrance there are dragons protecting the entrance. a big snake is protecting the entrance to scare you off so that you don't go too deep and find all the treasures.